That breaking news is out of Hawaii, where fear that a dam could fail has triggered thousands to evacuate. Good evening once again, everybody. I'm Michael Brownlee.
I'm Kathy Vara in for Colleen. This is happening on Oahu, the most visited island in Hawaii.
Hawaii has just experienced one of the most dangerous flood disasters in over 2 decades. And it almost became something far worse, because above the flooded towns, a dam holding back 3 billion gallons of water came within inches of failure overnight. This wasn't just heavy rain, this was a near catastrophe. The images coming out of Hawaii are almost unbelievable. 2 back-to-back storm systems dumped over 50 inches of rain in just 10 days. On Oahu's north shore, entire homes were ripped from their foundations. Cars were swallowed up to their rooftops. And every road in and out of entire communities disappeared underwater. More than 236 people had to be rescued. Some lifted straight off their roofs by helicopters in the middle of the night. The National Guard deployed Black Hawk helicopters to airlift 72 children trapped at a spring break camp, surrounded by rapidly rising floodwaters. And then came the moment that turned a disaster into a potential tragedy. A dam, over 120 years old, suddenly surged from 79 feet to 85 feet in just hours. That's just inches away from overflowing. Authorities issued an imminent failure warning to over 5,500 residents, in total darkness, with no power and no clear way out. Imagine waking up to sirens, being told a dam above you might collapse, and realizing every road is already underwater. Meanwhile, on Maui, the same areas devastated by the 2023 wildfires are now under threat again. This time, not from fire, but from water. Retention basins are nearing capacity. Evacuation warnings are spreading. The same communities that burned are now at risk of flooding. But here's the part most headlines aren't focusing on. The dam at the center of this crisis wasn't built recently. It wasn't even built for modern safety standards. It was constructed in 1906, originally to irrigate sugarcane fields for a major agricultural company. And for nearly 50 years, state regulators have been warning that this dam has a critical flaw. Its spillway is too small to handle extreme rainfall. Warnings were issued as far back as 1978. Since 2009 alone, there have been multiple deficiency notices. And yet, the required repairs were never completed. Instead, there were proposals to transfer ownership, pushing the cost onto taxpayers. So what caused this extreme situation? It began with something called a Kona low, a powerful subtropical storm system. Unlike typical weather patterns in Hawaii, this system reverses the usual trade winds and pulls massive amounts of tropical moisture directly over the islands. The first storm arrived on March 10th, and it didn't move. For 6 straight days, it stalled over the region. Rainfall totals shattered records everywhere. Over 26 inches on Oahu's highest peaks. Nearly 50 inches recorded on Maui. Honolulu broke a rainfall record that had stood for 75 years. Every weather station across the islands reported extreme conditions. The ground became completely saturated. Then, before the islands could recover, a second Kona low hit. Thursday night, March 19th, the rain returned. Not lighter, not weaker. A second full storm system. By 3:42 a.m., emergency alerts were sent. If you are trapped, go to the highest level. Stay out of attics without a roof access. By 4:30 a.m., the dam's water level was rising dangerously. By 5:35 a.m., an imminent failure warning was issued, and by sunrise, a full flash flood emergency was declared, the highest level possible. Here's what made it even worse. The evacuation routes were already gone. Major highways were underwater. Bridges were impassable. People were being told to evacuate, but had nowhere to go. Entire communities were trapped. Scene 8, Geography of Disaster, 4 o'clock. To understand why this was so dangerous, you have to look at the geography. Oahu's north shore sits between mountains and the ocean. Rainwater funnels down from the mountains, straight into low-lying towns, and directly above those towns sits the reservoir, holding billions of gallons of water, held back by a dam already known to be at risk. As water levels rose past critical thresholds, the dam's spillway was overwhelmed. Water began pouring out at 1,500 gallons per second. But instead of relieving the crisis, it made things worse, because that water flowed directly into communities already drowning from rainfall. The dam didn't collapse, but it didn't need to. On the ground, the situation was terrifying. Families woke up to rising water inside their homes. One farmer described how water went from knee-deep to nearly drowning animals within an hour. Dogs had to be rescued in total darkness, their heads barely above water. Emergency shelters flooded, forcing evacuees to evacuate again. Imagine escaping your home, only to have the shelter itself flood. This isn't the first time Hawaii has faced a dam disaster. In 2006, a dam collapse killed 7 people. That tragedy led to criminal charges against the dam's owner. And now, attention is turning again to accountability. Because this dam has been flagged as high hazard potential, poor condition, very high risk, and yet it remained in operation. In a last-minute effort to prevent disaster, a temporary barrier was installed on top of the dam to increase its height. That barrier, a temporary solution, was all that stood between safety and catastrophe. The aftermath is massive. Over 236 rescues, thousands without power, entire neighborhoods damaged, water contamination across regions, farms destroyed overnight. Some families lost everything. For the second time in just a few years, economic damage is expected to exceed $1 billion. And on Maui, the danger isn't over. Burned land from wildfires can't absorb water, so rain turns instantly into runoff. That means faster floods, stronger currents, greater risk. The same land that burned now amplifies flooding. The ground is still saturated. More rain is in the forecast, and officials are warning, do not relax, because the next storm could push everything past the limit. So now, the question isn't just what happened, it's what happens next. What happens the next time it rains? What happens next season? And what happens if that dam doesn't hold? Because as long as billions of gallons of water sit behind a structure that has been flagged for decades, this story isn't over, not even close. If you found this breakdown informative, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dive stories like this. Because these are the disasters that don't just happen. They build over time. And you deserve to understand the full story behind them.